The Geek and the Sheik. Girls from the Street, Book 5. Written by S.E. Smith. Narrated by Allison River. Prologue. Andreas Bronislav's elegant home, near the capital city Vilnius in Lithuania. Andreas Bronislav reached out one hand and gripped the mantel of the fireplace. Gas logs flickered behind the tempered glass and the heat rolled over him, but nothing seemed to penetrate the chill that had settled into his soul. The authorities had shut down his profitable mining operation in Brazil and confiscated all of his assets. Millions of dollars disappeared in a matter of hours. He closed his eyes as a wave of bitterness swept through him. His hatred burned, leaving a sour taste in his mouth as he opened his eyes. He would kill the family behind his destruction if it was the last thing he did. "I'm tired of your excuses. I want results. Everyone I have sent against the Saif-Ad-Din family has failed." Andreas raged. The small group of mercenaries he had assembled remained silent. Andreas threw his crystal goblet of wine against the wall, and the men shifted with unease. "I am surrounded by imbeciles," he savagely thought. Andreas glared at the group. The three men standing near the door of his office either lowered their eyes or looked away in response. The lone woman, sitting on the couch near the window, remained unfazed. His hand tightened on the handle of the cane he was heavily leaning on. His crippling pain and severely scarred skin were gifts from the government, given during their attack on his former compound. Colin Coldhouse, owner of Cold Method Security, had disappeared shortly after the attack. Andreas didn't know where the man was or if he was still alive, but Colin's reckless brother and dozens of other highly trained members of Cold Method Security were dead. Andreas had lost billions of dollars worth of equipment and facilities. They had all been destroyed or confiscated by the Lithuanian government. His vast fortunes were virtually gone, along with his ability to move unhindered around the world. He was confined to the very few countries willing to look the other way, as long as he spread some of his dwindling cash reserves against the palms of greedy government officials. Not even bribery was enough for him to remain in his home country, however. For that, he had needed his few remaining loyal contacts and the dirty secrets he held on a handful of powerful politicians. "Perhaps the others failed because you are approaching the situation from the wrong angle," the woman suggested. Andreas turned his ire on her. She was young, the youngest of the group, and she stood out from the others. The three hardened mercenaries were not unlike the ruinous Colin Coldhouse. She was the young hacker he had hired to stop the digital attacks that continued to drain his wealth. Her ebony skin was smooth, her curves were pleasantly round, and her eyes were highlighted by wide-rimmed glasses. She wore a bright red, orange, yellow, and black tie-dyed t-shirt dress and black leggings. "The only characteristic she shares with these men is the look in her eyes," he observed. "Cold, hard, and calculating. Leave us," he ordered the men with a dismissive wave of his hand. He kept his eyes locked on Allison's as the men silently retreated from the room. She returned his stare with a cool one of her own. Andreas painfully walked over to the chair near the window and sank down onto the plush floral-patterned fabric. He stretched his injured leg out and rubbed his thumb along the handle of his cane. Allison rose from the leather couch, crossed the room, and poured 2 glasses of scotch from the crystal decanter on the sidebar. She returned, holding out 1 glass for him in her right hand while she sipped from the left. He took the offered drink. "What angle do you propose?" he inquired. Her lips curved in a self-possessed smile, and she returned to her former position on the couch. She kicked off her ridiculously high, bright red heels and curled her legs up onto the couch. Her dress rode up over her leggings. "No, she is nothing like the professionals I have dealt with in the past," Andreas irritably thought, while appreciating the young woman's unusual confidence. "You're going after this
Sample complete. Ready to continue?